She had been going to put him down in the spring. The arthritis in his hips had reached the stage where the veterinarian had begun using the phrase quality of life assessment in appointments. And Elara had been having the conversation with herself for 3 months about what the right thing was, and when the right time was, and what the signs would look like when they arrived. Then in February, Cooper had saved her daughter from a gas leak, and Elara had quietly revised the timeline. He was 11 years old. He was a golden retriever with a coat that had lightened at the muzzle over the past 2 years in the way that goldens age, going from amber to cream from the face outward. He walked slowly. He chose his positions with the deliberateness of a dog managing chronic pain. He slept for longer stretches and woke from them with the incremental testing movement of something that needed a moment to assess before committing to standing. He had, apparently, enough left in him for this. 14-month-old Senna was in the living room. Elara was in the kitchen. Cooper was somewhere between them, which was where Cooper always was in the house, in the space between Elara and whichever family member was in a different room. As though he had designated himself the literal connective tissue of the household and took this function seriously. He started barking at 7:14 in the evening. If you stay for stories about what animals sense before we do, you are in the right place. Subscribe so you do not miss the next one. He did not bark often anymore. The energy required for sustained barking had diminished with everything else, and he had become a dog of quiet communication. A look, a nudge, a slow repositioning that indicated a preference or a concern. The bark on this particular evening was therefore significant before Elara had processed what it was about. She came out of the kitchen. Cooper was standing in the hallway between the kitchen and the living room, facing the kitchen, barking at it. The kitchen where the gas stove was. The kitchen where she had been for the past 40 minutes, boiling pasta, and had turned off the burner and moved the pot, and apparently had not turned off the burner, had turned the knob to the position that was off but was not off, the stuck knob position that she had been meaning to have fixed for a month, that looked like off from a distance and was not off from a distance. She could not smell gas yet. She was not in the kitchen anymore. She was in the hallway with Cooper. From the hallway she could smell it. Faint. Present. She opened the windows. She took Senna and Cooper outside. She called the gas company from the back step. The technician who came confirmed a slow release. The knob in the not quite off position, consistent with a stuck valve that had been partially releasing for an undetermined period. He replaced the valve assembly and told her not to use the stove until the kitchen had been ventilated for an additional 30 minutes. Has your dog ever done something that made no sense until it was the only thing that made sense? Tell us in the comments. These stories deserve to be heard. She called the veterinarian the following week. Not for an appointment, just to update him on Cooper's status. She had been reporting Cooper's status at 3-month intervals, which was the cadence they had agreed on for monitoring his quality of life. She told him what had happened. He was quiet for a moment, and then said, "His nose is the last thing to go." He said this without drama, as a clinical observation. She said, "I know." He said, "He caught it before you did." She said, "I was in the kitchen. I had been in the kitchen for 40 minutes. He said, "The concentration at floor level would have been higher than at standing height." He said, "Cooper spends most of his time at floor level now." He said he would have detected it significantly before you did from where he was. He said, "How is he otherwise?" She said, "Slower, more careful, but okay." He said, "Give him some time. Every guardian deserves to be recognized, even the ones who never asked for anything in return. If stories like this matter to you, subscribe so you never miss the next one." The quality of life assessment continued. Cooper's hips did not improve. There was no outcome in which they were going to improve. Only outcomes in which the management of them was more or less successful. The veterinarian had told her the signs, and she watched for them, and she would know when she saw them. In the meantime, Cooper was on his cushion in the hallway between the kitchen and the living room, which was where he had always been. Senna brought him toys, which he accepted with the polite tolerance of an elderly dog that understands the offering is well-intentioned, even if the toy itself is not to his taste. Elara brought him the medication that managed his pain, and the food that the vet had prescribed, and the daily check of his disposition that she had always done, and that now carried a different weight. She thought about the spring timeline she had been holding since fall. She thought about February, and the knob in the not-quite-off position, and Cooper in the hallway facing the kitchen. She thought, he told me. She thought, he has some more time. They both do.